All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Chaf Dalet, I believe. Now we were discussing a source, a pasuk of to know regarding the Isser Hana from Chametz, right? The Isser Hana of Shara Niskal. So we wanted to bring from a pasuk of Ba'esh Tisaref, talking about a chatas that's brought. It's supposed to be on the outside. It's brought on the inside. So we're supposed to, because you brought it into the heichal, you have to go ahead and burn it and destroy it. So since that pasuk wasn't needed over there, we'll say it has to do by other mitzvahs of one where one is not allowed to eat. And since over there we learned that you're supposed to destroy it, and that's because you can't get any hana. So the Gemara says now. 5 lines from the top. Is this coming? This pasuk of Bakodesh Ba'esh Tisaref? It's not used. We're not darshaning. It's coming for this reason. Rabbi Shimon. Actually, Rabbi Shimon uses it for another drasha. The Tanya Rabbi Shimon Aimer. It says Bakodesh Ba'esh Tisaref. It says over there Bakodesh regarding the Kodesh Ba'esh Tisaref. So Limein al Chatash Tisaref Nasav Bakodesh. We learn over there that the Chatas you have to go ahead and burn it in the Kodesh. And I only know the chatas. Psulei kache kachim. So that's only referring to a chatas that was brought on the inside. In other words, it's a puzzle chatas. So psulei kache kachim, but other types of kache kachim that became puzzle, or beimuri kache kalim, or the limbs of kache kalim in ayin. How do we know that those two are also burnt in the azara? So Ta'ama Loimar, therefore it says Ba'kodesh Ba'is Tisarif. This pasuk comes to teach you Ba'is Tisarif. So we're actually Rabbi Shimon uses this pasuk for something else. Samarlei. So he said to him, if that's the case, so Rabbi Yonasan Rabcha Mehaikra Kamarle. Actually, Rabbi Yonasan, he darshans from a different pasuk, not Ba'esh Tisarif. We're going to leave that pasuk alone on the side. He uses a different pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'im yevaser mibasar miluim minalachem araboker." It says over there, and if there is any left over from the basar, from the miluim, or from the bread until the morning, then you go ahead and you burn it. It says that you shouldn't eat it, right? And you should burn it. So I don't need to tell me over there that you can't eat it, right? Because it says you're supposed to burn it. Obviously, you can't eat it. You're supposed to destroy it. We don't need it for the pshat of the pasuk because it already says if you leave it over to the morning, you have to burn it. Obviously, if you're commanded to burn it, that means you shouldn't be going ahead and eating it, right? Therefore, we'll say, okay, this pasuk is not needed for here for the leftover miluim. Rather, it should be for other mitzvahs in the Torah. And if it's telling you go ahead and burn it, we don't need it for other isurim, which tell you can't eat. I don't need since I don't know other cases where you're not allowed to go ahead and eat. I don't need another source you can't eat it because the Ray says you can't eat it. So therefore, it must be teaching you in those cases where it tells you can't eat. It means you also can't get hana. And if that's the case, if that's the case, well, let's learn over here. If it's telling you to destroy it, that means you should always destroy anything which is usher to eat, right? Since it's usher bahana, you should also go ahead and be commanded to destroy it, right? So we're actually going to be using this logic like 2 or 3 more times. So let's get the logic down. The logic is, hey, if we can't go ahead, we don't need it in the pasuk where it's taught. Let's learn it to other psukim where it says, don't eat. And if we don't need a source of there, don't eat, because it already says don't eat, it must be referring to the Isser Hana, that wherever it says don't eat, it's also Isser Bahana. And if it says over here, right, that you should burn it, maybe over there you should also burn it. So therefore, the pasuk over here says V'saraftes a-naisar. It says specifically, go ahead and burn the naisar. Naisar b'sreifa v'ein kol yisur shabatar b'sreifa. So only naisar is burnt, but other isurim in the Torah is not burnt. So you can't go ahead and say treifa or nevela or those cases are chiv sreifa because it just says v'hanaisar b'sreifa. So maybe this is the source for all the isurim, all the other isurim, isuri achila that are aser b'hana. So Gemara says no, you can't use it, right? Or not even that, even the source for the chametz or for shor nizka. So v'hai lo yechel lo hachidasa. So over here you're saying lo yachel, right? In the pasuk we just said lo yachel is extra because it already says the naisar you should burn, so we don't need lo yachel. So you tell me it's extra lo hachidasa. Havi boile, you actually need it for something else. Look at the Rabbi Elazar. Like Rabbi Elazar, Dama Rabbi Elazar, lo yachol ki kadoishu. It says over there, you shouldn't go ahead and eat it. Lo yachal ki kodesh hu, right? Kol shebekodesh pasul. So bakas litain loisas el chilasa. In other words, it's telling you don't eat because it's kodesh. In other words, it gives a lav, right? Since it's giving you a lav in that case, it's telling you that no, we do lo yachal. If one really is supposed to go ahead and burn it, right? So isser ase, you shouldn't eat it. So therefore, if one comes to go ahead and eat it, they actually gives a lav in that case, and therefore, since it's telling you there's a lav in that case, therefore it's not extra to darshan in this case. And Amar Abaye says Abaye liyola mikra kama. Really, it's from the other pasuk we brought earlier. By Kodesh Beis Tisaref, the first pasuk. And so he said over there we need it for the drush of Rabbi Shimon, right? So he says ve'ipuch and switch around. In other words, it says Beish Tisaref. Beish Tisaref is really that's the part it says over there by the chattis. Go ahead and burn it. And since it's telling you that a chattas that was puzzle needs to be burnt, obviously you're not allowed to go ahead and eat it, right? So if that's the case, there's extra. So if that's the case, was gufo. If we don't need it in this case of the pasal chattas, then afkale the Rabbi Elazar, the Rabbi Elazar. From the fact that we learned that from Rabbi Elazar, Eastern Shabbat learn out to other Eastern Shabbat Torah. And if other Eastern in the Torah we don't need it, the drasha to tell you they can eat it. Hana. Therefore, it'll tell you that there is an Isser Hana in cases where there's Isser Achila. So if that's the case, if that's the case, just like it's commanding you to go ahead and burn the pasal chata, so to any thing which is usher to eat, you're obligated to go ahead and destroy and burn. So Amakra, therefore the pasuk says hanaisar. It says dafka hanais, the leftover hanaisar b'sreifa vein kol isur shabbatar b'sreifa. Therefore, only the naisar, the only leftover is b'sreifa, and not all the isur shabbatar b'sreifa. So Omar le Rav Papa leBaye ve'ema lechluli le lav legufiud also, right? So why don't you go ahead and say maybe over here the reason why it says lo yachal is not coming to teach you other cases. Maybe it's coming to go ahead and give you a lav in this case that you go ahead and lav if you go ahead and eat this chattas. And the made Rabbi Elazar, and if you're going to say we already know a lav from that which Rabbi Elazar darshans of lo yachal ki kodoshu. So maybe over there when he says you should go ahead and burn it, right? Over there, right, where it's telling you that it should be burnt, that's only inferring, you can only infer from there that you can't eat it, but it doesn't say you can't eat it. So therefore, if that's the case, right, then you normally can't get a lav, right? You don't get malchus in a case of a lav shemichlolus, right? A something which you're not allowed to do, which is inferred. In other words, it says go ahead and burn it. Sounds like if I'm commanded to burn it, I can't eat it. But if I eat it, I don't get malchus. So therefore, by saying lo yechel, right, lo seyachel, right, is teaching you that even in this case, if one does come to go ahead and eat it, then he would get malchus in this case. So elo amar papa mehacha. Let's learn from another case. It says over there, the habasar asher yiga b'chol tameh, right? If you look on the side, I'm just going to read the pasuk on the side. That's brought down on the side. It says habasar asher yiga b'chol tameh lo yechel. So it says the meat that touches something which is tameh, right? You shall not eat. Ba'esh tisaref. You go ahead and burn it in the fire. Habasar kol tahor yechel basar, right? But it says over there at any meat, we're going to darshan this pasuk later, right? Which is tahor, right? That meat can be eaten, right? So the pasuk says maybe this pasuk is extra. Maybe we can darshan over here, learn the isser of the isser hana of chametz and shraniska. So it says v'habasa sheyiga b'chol tamei lo yecha ba'esh tisaref. Now, I don't need to know that you can go ahead and eat it because it says over there you should go ahead and burn it. So therefore, why is it telling me that you shouldn't eat it? So if I don't need it for this place, and why do you need to tell me, right? Or why is it not needed to tell me I can't eat this case if it came tamei? Why? We can go ahead and make a kavachemer from Meiser Sheni to say, right, that Meiser Sheni is usher. So too, this the korban is also usher if it's come tummy, right? What's the kavachemer there? When it comes to Meiser Sheni, the person goes ahead and he says, he has to go ahead and make a declaration when he says, and I didn't go ahead and eat any of it tame when it's tame. So basar kodesh chamer lo kol sheken. So basar kodesh was more chamer than truma. Certainly, he can't have the tuma, right? So obviously, he can't go ahead and eat it because we know he can't eat truma, but if it's tame, certainly he can't go ahead and eat hektish if it's tame. So therefore, since I don't need a pasuk of lo yachel to teach me in the case of hektish, which is tame, you can't eat it. So and now if you're going to say, wait, slow down there. Maybe you can't go ahead and learn Isurim. You can't go ahead and give a warning from a logic and say, hey, it's a kavachaymer to say that hektish is asur, but maybe you can use ein mazir minadin. So no, hekeshu. It's also written together in a pasuk. The pasuk says, lo yisucha lecho b'sharecha. It says you should not go ahead and eat, right, b'sharecha, right, in your gates. Meister diganecha. It says over there, and referring to your Meister Sheni, right, and also your Becharos and other types of karbanos. So since it lists the Meiser with the karbanos, it's called the Hekesh, right? It's written together in the pasuk. Since it's written together in the pasuk, we can learn out that just like Truma, right, or Meiser, just like Meister Sheni cannot go ahead and be eaten betuma, so to Hektish cannot be eaten if it's tummy. And if that's the case, if that's the case, coming back to coming back to our point, lo yechel, why do you need it? I don't need to tell me hektish because I can learn that from Meister Sheni. So lo yechel, if I don't need it for this case, so then you should go ahead and apply it to other Yisum in the Torah. If I don't need it for other Yisum in the Torah that you can't eat it because those already told me you can't eat it, so and to tell you that you're not allowed to get any hana. And if you're going to say, and if you're going to say, hey, over here, well, it says, okay, you shouldn't eat it, you should burn it. So maybe all cases of Isra, now you should also have to go ahead and burn it. So Makra, therefore the pasuk says, ha-noisar, only that which is left over. Ha-noisar b'sreifa, ve'en kol Yisur shebetorah b'sreifa. Only the noisar gets sreifa, and not other Yisur in the Torah gets sreifa. So l'chai, that's a good source. Maybe it's to tell you what's the reason why lo yechel in this case is said by Kodesh, right, in a murim or whatever, the parts of the karbonos that become tamei that you can't go ahead and eat it. And don't say, hey, it's extra because I know you have to destroy it. So therefore, learn out the other isurim. Maybe it's telling you that if you go ahead and you eat it, you're violated twice, right? Once from the hekesh and once from this pasuk. You get two isurim. And Amar Abaye, and says Abaye, I'll give you a proof. We have multiple lavim on a single maisa. So achol protisa leika arba. One who goes ahead and eats a sheretz, which is in the ground, right, which is swims in the water, right? Such a sheretz, there's two psukim in general on shratzim, and there's also two other isurim of shratzim that swim in the water, and therefore one who eats one of those swimming shratzim would get 4 malchus, right? He's like arba, and the mullah, and let's say an ant or a little bug that crawls around, like chamesh, gets 5. There's 2 regular general sheretz lavim. And there's 3 ones, an additional 3 that get for any shratzim that walk on the ground, right? In sira and in a gnat or some sort of fly, like a sheish, if you eat such a sheretz, since it also walks on the ground, you'd actually get 6 sets of malchus, right? 2 for the 2 general lavim and shratzim, 3 for the lavim of shratzim that are land, right, that walk on the ground, and then 1 additional one for ones that also fly. So that's 6. So Sotanake, say you get 2 sets, right? Because we see that you add, we have no problem of getting of a person doing one act and getting multiple sets. So there's no pashut that if we can use this pasuk for another drasha as opposed to just default and say, hey, it's coming to give you an extra isser, then you use it for another drasha, but only if, right, there's no other drasha, right? And by the way, that doesn't mean to say that if there was no source of malchus, right, that it wouldn't be a source of malchus, then you would use it for that, right? If you need a source of malchus, then that would certainly do it. But if you already have a source of malchus, right, to give you a second set of malchus, that we don't do. We'd rather darshan and use it for other cases to teach you that isser hana, other cases of asur achila do have an isser hana. Fine. So the pasuk that I read before, v'habasar asher yiga b'chol tamei lo yachel. So dereisha lamali, right? Why does it say, right? V'habasar asher yiga b'chol tamei lo yachel, that which became tamei lo yachel? So it says l'rabos eitzim levana, right? So it's telling you that not only food, right, that becomes tamei, but even eitzim, right, of wood and levona, frankincense, which is also something that's not really edible, that those two can become tamei. And then it says v'habasar kol tahar yoichel, right, basar. So it says, and the basar, right, that called, if it's a person called tahor, yoichel basar, a person who is tahor, he can go ahead and eat the basar if it's not tamei. So it says l'rabos emur. So that comes to go ahead and include emur, any limbs that became tamei, that one who goes ahead and he can't go ahead and eat those emurim. So Gemara says emurim hasan nafka. We actually have another pasuk. The emurim become tamei. The Tani learn a brayso v'hanefesh asher teichel basar mizevach hashlamim hasher l'Hashem. Right? It says over there that a person, if he's tamei and he eats something from zevach hashlamim, right? So then he is chayiv, right? He's chayiv over there kares l'rabos esimurim. So Gemara says no. Two different cases. The Gemara answers no. Hasam b'tumas haguf b'kares. If a person is tamei, right? He's tamei tumas haguf, and the carbon is tahor, right? Then he's chayiv kares. That's the other pasuk. But over here, hacha tumas basar b'lav. Over here, it's talking about he's tahor and the carbon is tamei. So then that's the lav in this case. So it's two separate things, right? It's two separate isurim. If he's tamei and the carbon is tahor and he eats it, he's chayiv kares. That's from the other pasuk. And this pasuk over here of basar kol tahor yoichel basar, right? Over here it's teaching you that if that becomes tamei and he eats it, he's tahor, then he's all right. And even if he's tamei also, but a person goes ahead and eats any tamei carbon, that person is chayiv bilav. Fine. New case, new sugya. Around 8 lines from the top. I'm chav dalad amid base. Amar Rabbi Avo, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, kol isurin shebatayra ein loikin aleim ela derech achilasan. Any isur in the Torah where it says you shouldn't go ahead and do it, you don't get malchus for doing it, but derech achilasan, the normal way of eating them, right? The normal way, one which normally uses it, that's the way he's chayiv. So the miyuta had to exclude what? Some Rav Shimi Barashi, Lemiyute Shim Achal Chaylev Chai Shapater. A person eats the chaylev, the fats, but he eats it raw, he eats it chai, then he's pater because it's not the normal way. The normal way is to go ahead and cook the fats. And he could a different version. And he's in the Torah, you don't get malchus for unless you do it only the normal way. Why? What does that come to exclude? If a person, let's say, says he has a wound and he wants to go ahead and try and heal the wound, and he uses fats of an animal, and he uses the fats of a shor niskal, of an animal that was killed somebody and was sentenced to death, and he uses the fat from such an animal, then he is pater, because that's not the normal way of using chaylev. And the kol sheken, certainly eichel chaylev chashu pater. Certainly one who goes ahead and eats raw chaylev, raw fats, is also pater. And Itamar Nami said, Amar Ravacha bar Avia Amar Ravasi Amar Rav Yechanan Heniach Chaylev Shel Shor Haniskal Gabi Makasa. One goes ahead and uses the fat of a shor niskal, of an animal that gored that was sentenced to death, and uses it, the fats of it, on his wound. Pater, he is pater. Why? Lefi Shekol Yisurim Shabbatayra Ein Lokin Alam El Der Chanasim. Because the only way the Yisurim that you get malchus for, you get our punishable offenses, if he uses it the normal way, the normal method of deriving benefit from it. And Amar Rav Zeir Afanami Tanina, we also learned a similar case. Ein seifkin sebayim mishum arla el hayaitzi min azeisim min anavim bilvad. One does not receive malchus from orla, right? Orla, you're not allowed to go ahead and derive benefit to the first 3 years of a fruit tree. So a person does not get malchus for, but only, right, if he has the juices, right, from olives or anavim or grapes, right? Because olives and grapes, the main reason, right? Certainly it's up there of the main reasons, right? There is no other for grapes and olives, is their oil and their juices. And therefore, only those two, if you have the liquids in there, you'd be chayiv. However, but if you want to go ahead, and I think it's called pomo, right? Or pomegranate juice, right? Whatever it is, they sell it to your nearest gas station, and figs and types of berries, right? If you have those juices, those aren't the main part of the fruit. The main part of the fruit is strawberry, right? Strawberry juice is only a byproduct of strawberries, but the real part is, right, strawberries, right, or figs and pomegranates. So, and those low, you would not be chayv or low. Why? My time what's reason because that's not eating it the proper way. The normal way to eat berries, not to crush it and drink the juice. The normal way is to eat the strawberry. And Amar le Abaye, so it says Abaye, Bishlama Yishmin and Pri Gufa Kachile Dechanas and Shapir. So it is one thing to say that in this case, the reason why you're pot is because you didn't eat it in the normal way. So then that would be a good proof. But over here, your proof, maybe you're saying that the juices that, since it's not the main part, so maybe it's Mishum Almu. Maybe that's only considered like Zebi Alma. It's only like a byproduct. It's only sweat, right? Or something that comes from the fruit. And therefore, it's not the normal way. So Amar Abaye, and says Abaye one last statement, Hakol Maidim Bikilai Kerem, Shaloi Kinalim Afil Shalo Kader Chanesa. Everybody agrees that when it comes to kilaya kerem, right, one is forbidden to go ahead and mix seeds when he's planting. You can't sow your wheat with your grapevines, and if you do it, you're chayiv over there, and you get malchus there. Even not the normal way. My time, what's the reason? It doesn't say in the pasuk. It says achila, right? It doesn't say there. The pasuk says penti kadesh hamaleya, right? It's over there. Perhaps so it will be kadesh. Right, that which is grows from it will grow together, and it's mash over there that you should not get any hana, right, for anything that grows together. Rather, you should go ahead and burn it in that case. And so in that case, so by kiloi hakerem, right, one is not allowed. It's not only chayiv for yevachila, any sort of hana in that case. So the Meisave, as we will start here, the kasha is actually a longer kasha. It gets into almost the first half of the Yom tomorrow. So we're going to stop a little short today. So tomorrow, Mirza Hashem, will probably continue around 7:20, but Shir might go a little later than today because we're starting later and we'll do a little more, but it's not such a long blot. So everyone have a wonderful day and have Hanukkah, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, Mirza Hashem.